Yo, what up? It is currently the 5th of July, 2024. It is currently 9:11 p.m. on a Friday. And that deep breath, that sharp inhale was not a sigh, it was a, sharp inhale. And now, of course, now that I have no obligation to play in the morning, because I don't have turnips anymore, I play at 9 p.m. Now, in my defense, which is going to sound a lot like most of the defenses I come up with for playing late, I was planning on playing in the morning or earlier. Well, look, I'm not going to say stuff got in the way, because really it didn't. I just, had other things that I was more inclined to do, I suppose. But one thing that happened today was I got my grade results back, or at least my finalized grades. Some classes I had already gotten grades back for certain assessments, but today I found I saw my total grades for each subject that I did, and it was a pretty good result. I guess I'll go over it because not much on my mind else at the moment to talk about, I guess. So, I guess I'll start by setting up what the grading system is here, because it's different depending on where you go. I think in America, like, I don't know what, I think a 5 is, like, considered either, like, a perfect grade, or, like, I don't know, or, like, something like that. I actually don't know. Maybe 5 is, like, a pass. I don't know. But the way it works here, in university at least, or at least in my area, I'm saying here generally, because I don't know how widespread this is you have, it really, like, okay, so it's like, it's a number scale from 1 to 7, or I guess 0 to 7. I found a kind of weird thing when I was cleaning up my room. It was a can of food that expired on the 5th of last year. S-Monkey, could you open it up for me? Gross, no way. Oh, that's so mean. You're just a judgmental jerk. Why on earth would I open that? Anyway, so, yeah, it's a point system from 1 to 7, where, like, numbers 1 to 3, and I guess 0, because 0 would be, like, a non-submission. 1 to 3 are failing, and then 4 and up is passing. So a 4 is a pass. That's called a... I think it's just called a pass, actually. A 5 is credit. The deluxe washer. Do we need the deluxe washer? No. A 5's a 5 is a credit. Market's open tomorrow. A 6 is a distinction, and a 7 is a high distinction. And the, for lack of a better term, distinction between those two is basically the same as, like, A and A+. So, like, a 6, if you get a 6, then it's basically getting an A. A 5 is like a B. A 4 is like a C. Then I guess, like, 3 is D. 2 is E, 1 is F, even though we don't really have F here, but still. That's Monkey, you know what a tiger butterfly is? You know what, you talk my ear off about it, so it would be very difficult for me to not know what it is. So, all of that set up to talk about what I ended up getting after I talked to Marina, of course, because she happens to be in the area. Yeah, Marina understands. I ran into Fork the other day. Bit of a poor kid, wouldn't you agree? I've heard it all before. He doesn't even, it bounces right off of him. He doesn't care about the criticism. I'm not catching that gossip because I'm trying to talk right at the moment. So yeah, all of that's set up of what the grading system is to talk about what I got. So I don't get it too specific, I guess, but I'll say that I got 3 classes I got a 6 in, and 1 class I got a 5 in. And the class that I got a 5 in was one that I didn't even like that much. But then again, I also got a 6 in a class that I didn't like much either, so I guess it balances out. So yeah, no 7s, which I wasn't expecting any 7s, but I think I did a pretty good job. It's the most amount of, I think it's the most amount of 6s I've gotten one semester, because every semester I've done so far, I've gotten at least 1 6. But this one, yeah, I almost got straight 6s. I got a 6 6 6. which is a bit demonic, of course, but yeah. So right now my GPA is leaning somewhere in between a 5 and a 6, leaning a slight bit more towards the 6. I say slight because it's like 5.545 or something like that. Sparkles, you look like a fast runner, so I have a favor to ask. This letter, could you take it to Cube? Okay, I know where Cube is. But yeah, so I'm actually pretty satisfied with my performance this semester. Well, this last semester, now that it's ended. I don't think I was expecting to do poorly. I think, that's the thing, was that I definitely submitted every one of my assignments, I think, knowing that I did a pretty good job. Like, maybe there was room for it to be even better, depending on if I was more diligent. I don't know. But generally, I would say that every single thing I submitted that last semester, I was like, yeah, I did a good job at this, and I'm confident that I did a good job in this. Asking to deliver a letter that's so, like, tangy. Oh, it's more like... okay, it's more of the blah-de-blah I usually get. Huh, should I show it to you? You just can't tell tangy I did, okay? At Cube, your letter totally rocked my world. Thanks. I made biscotti and it tasted good. I was gonna say so good, but it wasn't that good, apparently. Ooh, my heart feels all warm now. Thanks so much, and say hi to Tangy. Oh, now you've got a nice warm perception to those letters that you get from a heart cube. Also, I got bit by a mosquito. But yeah, I think usually with, bad assignments, you kind of know. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in a position where, I've never really, I don't usually, I barely ever, failed anything. I only ever failed, one or two things in all of, high school, really. I don't even remember failing anything in primary school, because I don't really remember primary school ever being difficult. The only things I think I failed in high school, it might have just been one thing. I remember failing a math exam, and I took, in my high school, I took the more difficult math. You could choose the math that you took. I should say maths, that's what we call it here, but I always say math instead. To my beloved wife, I'm not the best at expressing myself, but I appreciate you more than words can say. Thanks, your loving husband. Why on earth would you send that by bottle mail? Anyway. Yeah, I think the only thing I ever failed was a maths exam, and I took harder maths. And, I'm not bad at maths, but I will say in that class, I felt severely outclassed by every single other person in it. It felt like I was one of the dumbest people in it. At least in terms of math knowledge, maybe not necessarily in other sorts of smarts. And yeah, that was only one exam that I even failed. Or at least a formal exam. I definitely failed a test exam as well. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I'm not used to the feeling of failing a class, and so I also don't, I guess, I can sympathize with people who fail things for school, but I can't really empathize with it, because it's only, it's not happened to me very often. And so I don't really know, I don't really know the feeling of, submitting a thing and knowing that it's gonna fail. I've definitely submitted assignments and known that I could have done better on them and that I didn't, dedicate enough time to it. But I really don't think, I guess one time maybe, but, one time I did, and then I ended up doing well and I got a good grade, so it kind of messed with my perception. It felt like I got, enabled. I submitted and I was like, oh man, I did a bad job on this, and then they were like, oh, hey, good job, this is great, and I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm being, babied. Hey, which of your body parts is your favorite? I mean, my rump. Okay, well, definitely not that one. My face? My face is constantly being weird. I still get pimples sometimes. It's fine. It's not a bad face, I'd say. I'm not a very good judgment. My legs, I mean, they're tall. It's helpful in some regard. My arms? I'd say having long arms is more useful than having long legs. Because the only thing you really do with long legs is, run faster, really. But, long arms, I can, yeah, I'd say, well, I don't know if it's my favorite body part, but I mean, I guess it's up there. Like, can I say my hands? My hands are a lot more useful. Whatever, my arms. I mean, hands do look nimble. Oh, I guess, okay, it counts hands. If you and I teamed up, we could get away with... No, never mind. Peewee's is asking me to do, like, a bank robbery or something. But yeah, like, so yeah, like I said, I'm not very used to the feeling of, like, submitting an assignment and, like, knowing fully well that you're not going to get a good grade on it, really. Other than the one time when I did so and I got proven wrong anyway, so my worries were completely unnecessary because I'm a warrior. Not a warrior, mind you. But yeah, like, I feel like generally is what this is all tying back to. If you submit something and you, like, didn't really put your best foot forward with it, you didn't really try, then you usually know. Like, you usually get this, and I mean, it makes sense because you made it. Like, obviously, you'd know that, like, intuitively. So yeah, usually, like, if you get a bad grade, and so in a similar inverse way, I think you can sort of self-evaluate and be like, yeah, I think this I did, I did put a good amount of effort into this, and I think it's well written and all that. I guess I'm talking about writing in my case because I usually am writing stuff, and I'm also talking about assignments because I don't really do exams. So I guess replace use of the word assignment with exams depending on where you sit. But yeah, like, yes, I feel there is an amount of confidence you can have with submitting something that, like, yeah, I did a good job and I think it's gonna do well. But sometimes it kind of just comes out of the blue. Sometimes I really would try, like, as hard as I could, and then it would just be like a lukewarm result, and I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I don't know. I guess I just don't get it. Hey, what's with the tiptoe action, Twinkle Toes? There's nothing to fear on my floor, that's for sure. Gak! I just stepped in the sparkling cider I spilled yesterday. Ew, on carpet. That's not good. Yeah, but I had a class in high school that, like, I would never fail it because, like I said, I wouldn't fail stuff. Not saying that in a bragging way. I'm just stating it. But I would never get, like, a super great result, even if I thought I wrote it pretty well, and it wasn't like I didn't understand the content. I generally did, so I don't know why. And yeah, like I said, it was a high school class, so you know, I was doing stuff for that class pretty often. Oh, you like this shirt? I think Knife was the designer. Not too shabby, huh? Not that I know anything about clothes, but still, not shabby. Yeah, I guess. But oh yeah, with that class, yeah, it was I don't know. I also didn't like the class very much, so that doesn't really help. That's the thing about high school is that, like, personally, I was always an overachiever. Well, I was an overachiever for, like, I'd say I over, like, 50%, probably, like 75% of my, what did I just get? Dingaloid. Oh, I did need that. That's cool. Yeah, so, like, 75% of my schooling, at least concerning primary and high school, I would probably would have considered myself an overachiever, and then at some point I just kind of, like, I don't know, I got a bit more, I guess not cynical, pessimistic, just a bit more, like, I just stopped caring as much. Not enough to the point where I would, fail stuff, or, like, um, and I could still get, really good grades, but I guess there was a bit of a drop off, I'd say, towards the end of my, like, going to high school. And I think that oh wait, I was already here. I think it's because you just kind of get worn down by it, really. Like, you do you do the first 6 years, and then I'm saying first 6 years, I guess, in depending on regards first five, but first 6 years at one school, and then you're like, you get through it, and then not even skipping a beat, you're straight into the next six, and then it just keeps going, and then, like, for me, they were always, like, preparing us. I don't know why I even came into it here. I don't think there's anything I need. It's suppose I could sell this stuff. You know, you get prepared for your senior years, but then after a certain point, you get prepared for your senior years for so long, it kind of just feels like you're a senior already, and then you're a senior already, so it's kind of weird. And, like, just in general, like, having to do classes that you don't want to do is just so, like, annoying, especially when you're a teenager, like, and everything is, like, stupid and bad. Like, it does seem just so backwards to me that you only start fully picking all the classes you do once you're, like, considered an adult, basically. It's so weird. Like, you know, obviously... Actually, do I have this? You know, criticizing the school system isn't anything new, and I wouldn't... I'm not, I suppose, what you would call a victim, in quotation marks, of it. Like, I wasn't treated too poorly. I had pretty good teachers. I think I benefited from being at uh, good schools. I mean, you know, better than, like, a super low-budget school where they can't even afford the pencils or anything like that. You know, it had enough for teaching. But, I mean, you know, I still feel like, you know, there's flaws with it. It definitely, like, you know, I understand, like, at a minimum, yes, you have to do maths and English. I'm fine with that. I think that's fine. I know some people are like, oh, algebra, whenever are you going to use that? Which I think that's kind of stupid, because algebra's a pretty applicable thing just in general as a, like, school of thought. Like, you know, subbing in quotation marks, like, you know, subbing in something in place of something else isn't just a mathematical concept. And so if you understand algebra, then you understand it in contexts that aren't algebraic or even mathematical. Anyway, yeah, math and English as like as, you know, a minimum, fine, sure, I can agree with that. But, you know, by the time that personally got to start picking classes, I already talked to Antonio. You know, it already felt too little, too late. I'd already done so many classes that I just sort of didn't want to do, like mandatory PE. You know, I've never been a sporty kid. Oh wait, Hugh, I didn't talk to Hugh. And you know, I'm not against PE class, obviously. Like, you know, I'm not like, I don't want to be super unhealthy. Like, I like the idea of at least moving around, but the Gabarius constellation's really cool. Who made it? Me! What? Really? Amazing. You're so talented. Yeah, I never liked HP, which is, I guess... No, yeah, I don't have to say what P is. That's a widely known term. Oh, okay, you are being mean to me. What was that? Yeah, I was talking about PE class. Oh, yeah, like, I think it's just kind of a flawed system in general. Like, you know, with most classes, you could easily, you know, understand what the criteria for being marked was and, like, how to do well. But with PE, it's so weird because you're basically marked for a lot of, you know, if you had to do any sort of physical assessment, then what are you getting marked for? Like, how physical you are? If you're playing a sport, do you have to win? Like, what... Is it just, like, trying? Like, what is the metric? And it never felt like that was ever fully, like, I guess, established or explained. And so it kind of made the whole class just feel like running around and doing nonsense. And because I have, let's say, smaller than average lungs, that's not exactly an appealing concept for a class. And then, not to mention that our school in general just had a bad setup for PE that, you know, forced us to be very, we had to, like, change into a specific uniform, and then we couldn't key word, or a key distinction, we couldn't come to school in this uniform. We had to change into the uniform during the school day and change out of it after we were done with PE. That alone already made the class, you know, really annoying. What did I get? Butterfly shirt. I needed that. Cool. Let's go. But then, yeah, on top of that, we were constantly having, like, the PE class cancelled, or, like, you would get changed into your PE outfit, and then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're not doing it today because of this or that," and then like it would just be so annoying and flaky and like not make any sense, and like it felt very like I don't want to. I guess unprofessional would be the correct term. Like just all hobbled together and not really working. And then yeah, you had physical PE class, which for us was where our sex ed stuff came in, and that was like I don't know. If I really feel like I don't remember much from sex ed, like other than we got taught about like STIs, which like sure, it makes sense to be taught about that. I mean, maybe science class, but sure, I guess it's important, and that's a good reason to, I guess keep it in your pants if you don't want to be going around all too willy nilly. Like they'd show pictures and stuff, and you would they'd say like whether or not you could leave the room if you wanted or whatever. I just remember hearing about gonorrhea and making fun of the name. But anyway, we got showed, there's that classic consent video that they showed us and stuff like that, which honestly, like, it's like the idea is that it's like a funny video, so it's like engaging, but I don't think it did a very good job of establishing how important consent is, but I don't know. I feel like there's better examples. But anyway, just in general, like the sex education and from what I got was like pretty whatever. Oh wait, you know what I should have done? Yeah, I should have left some money from Spoon to spend, because I just realized that I'm not going to be able to afford donating to Gracie here. I might have to come in a Spoon for a second. Yeah, but I mean, there's other classes like science. I think I talked about it. Like, I like science as a, I guess, generally, but as a subject in school, it always just thought was taught very poorly, or at least I didn't enjoy it. So I never went in. I never liked science. Or it was fine, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. And I personally had to do religion classes, which, those are a whole other can of worms. I remember one time we got showed a video in class, in one of my religion classes, that felt like it was trying to convert you. It was like it was a Catholic school, mind you. It was like, the video was like talking about how the Bible is like true and everything. Well, no, basically everything in it was true, or at least the New Testament. And they were like talking about stuff like, oh, Jesus, what made the bread and fish out of thin air. And people are like, oh, well, all the people in the crowd hallucinated it. And then they could justify it by saying, oh, well, a whole crowd of people can't hallucinate the same thing at the same time. It's like, yeah, but a guy can write in a book that a whole bunch of people saw something. Like, it takes it takes literally one lesson in ancient history class, which is a class that I happened to take and like, that, it's absolutely not true that the Bible, there's no way that the Bible is fully true. Like, just any source, anything that's written, like, in any point that's before, I would even say, like, I don't know, I don't even know where the threshold would be, but, around that time, you can't write something that accurately. Eyewitness testimony is very well proven to be a very poor way of recalling information. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure it was written like most of the chapters in the New Testament were written far after the events would have actually occurred. And I'm not trying to do a whole dissertation against it. Like, I'm not trying to say Christianity. Okay, I'm gonna quickly give myself some money as spoon. Yeah, I'm not trying to say like the whole Bible's fake or whatever, and I'm not trying to disprove Christianity. But my main point is, you can't. The whole point of a religion is faith. It's not about real, fully 100% evidence. So trying to convince people that a religion is true based on evidence is a really bad thing to try and do. Like it's very manipulative as well. Like I generally think that it's fine to be religious, but I find that trying to forcing it onto other people is just always it's very I don't want to say aggressive, but it can be very like pushy and like unnecessarily like just controlling of other people to try and get them to think a certain way. Let's drop some money here. But yeah, so like, if you're Christian, then like I'm not saying like, oh yeah, the Bible is all fake, but all I'm saying is like, you can't, if you believe in that stuff, that's fine, but you can't tell me that it's a reliable piece of evidence, because it absolutely is not. Like the like that there's not there's I'm personally agnostic, so I'm not an atheist. Like I personally just believe that there's no way of knowing. Like I think being atheist is kind of too, I guess, assertive. Like how do you know that there's nothing, no higher power? But at the same time, I don't follow a specific one because I've never really had a specific belief in any of them. But personally, uh, I just think, let people believe what they want to believe. Generally, is my, you philosophy, and especially because you hear a lot of stories like about people who converted to a religion because they had a religious experience or a religious encounter, and so you're already showing that religion is very personal, and so it's something that for most people is usually discovered within themselves. So I don't know how you can try and turn that around and try to uh like convince people, because how do like it doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, I gotta get rid of some mail. Like you're showing through your experiences that you had to be directly shown this thing happening to you for you to be able to believe in this, and experience such a personal event, be it having an encounter with God or whatever, or not whatever isn't, it doesn't matter, as in whatever is in whatever said encounter is. And so you can't like then try and be like, well, see, there's this evidence here. It's like, well, you didn't believe in the evidence. It took you having a personal experience for you to believe it at all. And just in general, like, I don't believe in a particular higher power, and I also don't believe in the lack of existence. Like, I don't, basically I just don't believe in any particular thing, really, because I take this school of not knowing, I guess. Personally, I just think with religion is that even if one particular religion is real, I would personally at least like to think that just being a good person and generally being virtuous throughout your life would be enough to be rewarded in whatever religion may or may not be true. Or even you could interpret it that, what did I get? Melon shot. That you could even check it that you have to believe whatever whatever your afterlife is what you believe. So I guess that in my case it would be I guess nothing. I don't know. But yeah, like, so I mean, that's the thing with most religions, right? Is like you do something without expecting a reward. So personally, I would feel weird, being like subscribing to a religion, and therefore I feel like it would recontextualize all of my actions, and therefore I wouldn't be able to act good or bad without, thinking about how it affects my, like, my religious status. So I kind of prefer just, not really going by it, but, it's fine that other people do. But like I said, I just think people should be left to their own devices more so than be encouraged to actively try and convert as many people as possible. Because it feels very like it's like a savior complex where, like, you believe that your life is full of sin without this religion, and so it's your responsibility to try and, like, save them from this fate of being, uh, condemned to whatever place. So you have to save them by getting them to switch faiths. It feels very, I don't know. I mean, maybe I might just be taking it the wrong way and being I suppose a devil's advocate. But it feels very, like, virtue signally and very much, like, self-centered, I guess, that you believe you have enough influence that you can really just, like, make people change their entire worldviews. Like, imagine having one person talk to you about, this floating guy in the sky, and suddenly everything you've ever thought about the entire world is flipped on its head. Like, that doesn't happen. It's wouldn't happen to very many people. The only people it really happens to is children, because they don't know as much about the world yet and are very easily influenced. Where did that come from? That was come from me talking about religion class. But yeah, that's why I didn't like that conversion video. I didn't. What's scary about it is that I didn't even realize at the time that that's what it was. Like, I just sort of, it was just sort of a video. It's like, oh yeah, they always put on videos in class for you to watch. But, I didn't even think about that. And so that's the kind of stuff that people will attempt to do to try and, change people. And that's why I think it's manipulative, because it's, well, yeah, it's trying to make you switch your beliefs without even making you think about it. Which, in an ideal world probably wouldn't be how people would would all, make peace with each other and all that. Another weird thing about that whole religious conversion angle is that, like, usually, you'll always see someone who's, like, atheist or agnostic trying to be convinced by someone. But I don't think I've ever seen, at least not in my experience, and I'm talking mostly about, like, internet stuff. So, forgive me if I'm, ignoring, like, stuff happening in real life or whatever. But I don't I don't think I've ever seen, someone having a religion and then someone else being like, actually, your religion's wrong, my religion's right. Because that's, like, really, obviously really disrespectful, like, to try and get people to change the religion they believe in. But if you think about it, how is that any different than trying to convince people to change their mind on whatever they believe in if said belief lacks a god of any kind? Like, it's not really that different. And I'd say it's just as, well, rude, in my opinion, to try and, like, dismiss someone's belief system and tell them that you've got to believe in a different thing instead. But, obviously, if you're religious, like, I don't have anything personally against you or anything like that, and I don't. And, most religious people, and that's the thing, is that for all of this, and anytime something like this is the case, oh, I got one of these, it's always the crowd of, of one versus the other, where it's the people who do this thing and the people who don't do it. And, the people who do it are obviously, loud about it because they're doing it. But the people who don't do it aren't going around saying, oh yeah, well, I don't try and get people to convert religions, because they just don't, say anything that they just keep to themselves. So, I'd say most people in that regard are, doing pretty well. It's more so a select minority that, and that they might not even have bad intentions. Like, it's not like they're trying to, like, trick people into being religious. I think it's more so they fail to be, like, self-aware enough to realize that maybe what they're doing is kind of, like, manipulative and kind of, I don't want to say, like, egotistical, but it is very, like, I guess short-sighted, maybe, is the right word. So yeah, that's my... I don't want to call it a religion rant, because that implies that it's... Well, I'm you know, trying to school a particular religion, but I'm not. I think I've made my case clear, and I hope I didn't offend. I don't mean to offend, mind you. And that's the thing, is that, like, like I said, I'm sure there are people who were at the target of that rant that I just had that aren't trying to be, you know, bad, or, like, uh, encourage any sort of, you know, bad practice. But that's just kind of how it ends up going. So if I did it, or if they do it, we kind of just have to live with it. And if we get told off for it, then we just have to accept it and move on. Or we could, you know, continue to do it and ignore the naysayers, which generally isn't a good idea if the naysayers have a good point. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. We profited one Gracie shirt, which is nice. We now have... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Gracie shirts left, which, hey, that's actually... Oh, wait, 12. Yeah, I mean, still fine. Probably, I mean, one a week. Let's say we get one Gracie shot every time she visits. She visits, like, say, once every month. No. But, you know, I guess we'll see. Who knows? Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. And tomorrow is the flea market, so let's, I guess we'll see how that goes.